Hey, another fine day and an hour to talk power on my new show, The Power Hour. This is week 4, the 4th episode of Power Hour, 4 Mondays in a row, and it started as an opportunity for me to try to pick up, at least pick up the slack, in my opinion, where I felt like I was weak, and it was in the world of strength and conditioning. I was only really going off of I wasn't going off science, let's say that. I was trying to go off common sense. I was trying to go off personal experience or things I'm watching or great guys that I've seen do it. That's what I was doing, right? But I haven't taken it the approach of from science. And so now here we are, 4th week in a row, bringing in a certified strength coach, and excited to do so alongside today, Tobias Jacobi of Strong Rock Christian, which is in the southern, southern suburbs of Atlanta. Coach, give us that 30-second intro of yourself and what certifications you have.
Hey, I'm Tobias Jacobi. Great to have you here. I appreciate your time. Like I said, I'm the head strength coach at Strong Rock Christian. I am certified through the National Strength and Conditioning Association, my CSCS, actually with distinction. I'm also certified through the United States Weightlifting Association, Titles Performance Institute, and the United States Track and Field Association as well.
Man, that is, I can see that you've been in this forever. And what has it been, 22 years in the business?
I am going on my 22nd year of coaching, and, spent 15 years coaching the collegiate level. Now I'm on my 7th year here at Strong Rock Christian and just having a blast.
And so when you say coaching, you're saying coaching strength.
Yes, I have the opportunity to basically take my classroom and run it exactly how I coached my collegiate level athletes. So the tempo, the attention to detail, a lot of that stuff I was able to take from our collegiate level and collegiate settings and take it into Strong Rock Christian.
Man, that is exciting. I'll tell you what, tell me this. Has anything changed over the last 22 years?
Yes, a lot has changed. A lot has changed. It is definitely something, as a coach, you have to be growing all the time. And, I think the great people always say, if you're not growing, you're dying. And we don't try and reinvent the wheel, but with our program, we are always trying to figure out the best way to provide everything to our kids to make them the best version of themselves. That's our goal. That's what we tell our kids on a daily basis. Every single thing that we do with them, we want that to be something, a piece that helps that kid be the best version of themselves.
Coach, give everybody the 20-second list of your coaching journey, your coaching journey, 20 seconds.
20 seconds. I played football at Cumberland University. It's a little NAIA school in Tennessee. I started coaching there literally as soon as I was done playing. I turned in my shoulder pads. They gave me the keys to the weight room. Did a great enough job there, got a graduate assistantship at the University of North Carolina, worked with a bunch of NFL dudes all over the place. So it was a really neat opportunity. Then I went from there to Elon University, then to Western Carolina, then to Kent State, Charleston Southern, East Carolina University, and now I've spent, and that was over the course of 15 years, and now I've spent the last, going on my 7th year at Strong Rock Christian.
How did you go? What was that? What was the thing that took you from that type of a collegiate journey to tiny high school near Atlanta?
Honestly, the precipice or the reasoning behind it was my family and my daughter. At the time she was in the 1st grade, she was struggling academically, and I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision that, am I going to chase the logo? Am I going to chase my career path? Am I going to chase that next job? Or am I going to be a better father, a better husband, a better dad? And it hurt a little bit, but at the same time, I know for a fact that this is definitely where God wants us. My daughter has flourished here in school, and it's been nothing but a blessing to be at Strong Rock.
Good for you, Coach. I think I'm going through something similar right now. It's so good to hear from other men that have made similar choices. Well, Coach is going to be talking when we get back from our little commercial break. When I say commercial break, they're like 20 seconds to 50 seconds. But Coach is going to be talking Strength Training 101. Now, I asked for this topic specifically because there's a lot of the vocab And just I'm telling you, the basic science behind building muscle and building strength that I don't know, and I have learned over time, if I don't know it, then the odds are there are a lot of people that don't know it. Not because I'm some sort of smart person. I've just found that I'm average, which means I'm very much alike, like most people, right? So the average guy that's been coaching but hasn't done any studying of strength and conditioning or isn't certified, I think there's a long list of things we don't know. And I hope that nobody else is insulted by that. How could we be good at something we haven't studied, right? So those are the types of things I'm coming at this from. But there's a lot of vocab that a lot of strength conditioning guys throw around, and a lot of the basic science I haven't slowed down to hear. And I am excited to hear it from Coach Jacobi. So let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll see you guys when we get back.
Hey, my name is Wade DeVries, head football coach at Roxana High School down near St. Louis in Illinois. The Chief Pigskin Online Clinic has been huge for us this year. The amount of content that's available on there is exceptional. And having been a speaker on it, the number of contacts that I've been able to make with coaches from around the country has been unbelievable. I couldn't recommend it more.
We're back from commercial and ready to turn it over to Coach Jacobi. So without further ado, Tobias Jacobi, Strength Training 101. Take it away.
Hey, Tobias Jacobi here. I really appreciate this opportunity to be able to share with you on the Power Hour. When I was asked to bring up this topic, I was like, you know what, this is a great idea. This is something probably I take for granted a little bit sometimes, and the fact that I've been doing this for 20 plus years. But this is my presentation, the Strength and Conditioning 101, a coach's guide to size, strength, power, programming for the strength movements. Okay, you can see my titles. You can see all the stuff that I'm involved with the National High School Strength Coach Association, so on and so forth. If you want to talk to me, hit me up about that. So here's a real simple thing. Why should you listen to me? Well, I spent 15 years coaching at the collegiate level. We kind of talked about that a little bit already. This is my 7th year. I have the unique opportunity of coaching both high school and middle school. So I can really speak to those coaches who want to say, I do a good job with my high school program, but I really got to get my middle school kids. I actually do that on a daily basis. So I have a very cool chance to work with my middle school kids. Another reason, I'm just going to be honest, I was the 2018 National High School Strength Coach of the Year. So I feel that that's given me some backing and some credibility in that. And then again, when we're talking football, I've worked with over 100 players that have gone on to play in the NFL. So that's why you should listen to me. What you're going to be listening to today, first I'll go through, I'm going to give you some of my references, some of my thank yous, my contact information. Reason I do that kind of at the beginning is because I screwed up one time giving a presentation and I didn't. And I got 50 million questions from it. So I learned from my own mistakes. That's what a good coach does. Then we're going to talk about the basic breakdowns of strength training and definitions. I'm going to give you we're going to go over programming in detail in the respect of sets, reps, plannings for different things. Everybody has different goals with what they're doing, whether it's improving size, improving strength, improving power. And then I'm going to give you the key, the ultimate key to a successful training program, bar none, doesn't matter what level. And it's just something you can't avoid. So first and foremost, I thank you. Obviously, we kind of mentioned my family a little bit earlier. My wife, all the different moves that I've made have definitely been one of the. She is my rock, and my 2 little girls have definitely dealt a lot with their dad. Obviously, all the young men and women I have the opportunity to work with, it is truly, truly a blessing. I think it's really neat when you're able to reconnect with them when they're older, and it's pretty cool. I think. You can see some of the people that have influenced me throughout my coaching career. All those men have really impacted me, whether it's been from a strength conditioning aspect, a personal aspect, so I really appreciate them. Here's my contact information. That's my email. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm pretty active, along with all the things that I do for the National High School Strength Coaches Association. So let's get into it. Let's get into the nuts and bolts, the details of Strength Training 101. And I think you have to start off with definitions. I think it's important to understand what you're talking about when you say things, because I think a lot of times people say certain things and they may mean something, but what they're saying doesn't match up. And so these are a couple, real basic terms that you need to know when you're talking about strength and conditioning, especially I know at the high school level, particularly in my situation, but too, even it comes into play at the collegiate level as well. First and foremost, endurance. When we're talking about muscular endurance, obviously you can read that refers to the ability of given muscles to exert force consistently, repetitively over a period of time. You're going to talk in the 13 to 20 rep range, 60 to 70%. You're looking for a total of 18 to 30 reps to perform to get that muscular endurance factor in there. A very popular method of training right now for a lot of coaches is the 1x20. Michael Yessis, I know Coach Stewart out in Nebraska uses it a lot with his kids. Coach McCormick down in Florida Atlantic, the Olympic strength coach, utilizes that method, and they've had a lot of success with it. I know other coaches have dabbled in it as well. A really neat tool, but what I think you have to make sure is what is your goal with your kids? What is your focus with your athletes? And so that first definition is, basically the endurance. Hypertrophy, the enlargement of an organ or tissue from the increase in size of its cells. A lot of times, and I can't tell you, even in coaching collegiately, this is where a lot of us have to live. And especially when you're talking about getting young men, young women who haven't lifted very much, this is where, they want to, this is where you live. This is the world of a bodybuilder. A lot of times that muscular size, what you're looking for. I had a Twitter message yesterday from a coach. Hey, coach, need to get a guy to gain weight and get stronger. Would you mind helping me put a program, kind of, picking my brain? This realistically is a lot of where us high school coaches, and honestly, even, developmentally, when I was coaching a lot of my younger kids in college, a lot of times where we needed to live to just develop that muscular size. And so you're looking at 7 to 12 reps, you're looking at 70, 75%, and you're looking for a total of 12 to 24 reps for that, for the stimulus, I guess is the best way to put it. The next word, strength. People think strength, they think 1 rep maxes, and realistically, and you'll see in our definitions, that's not the case. Strength is the quality of state of being physically strong. But when we talk about developing strength and getting stronger, realistically, you're going to live in that 5 to 8 rep range, about 70 to 85%. Total of 10 to 20 reps at that percentage is the idea that you're looking for. And a lot of times people think strength. I am competitive for a former competitive powerlifter, and the reason they call it powerlifting is because you do it one time. And yes, we get stronger, but you have to be able to generate power. And so the terminology, I think, is very important because it helps dictate your goals and it helps your focus on what you're trying to do. And then obviously last is power, and that's force times velocity. Pretty simple. You're looking at 1 to 5 rep range, 85 to 100%, and then you're looking for a total of 4 to 10 reps from that. And those are very, very basic strength training definitions when we're talking about programming and exercises. Now, the key to success from a programming standpoint, honestly, is volume. The percentages are easy, but how many sets are you here and how many sets are you here, so on and so forth. This is a very, very common chart, Prilepin's chart. It was actually taken, I know Louis Simmons made it very popular, and it was taken from Olympic weightlifting, but honestly, I know hundreds of coaches who subscribe to this load programming. And so it gives you a very basic rep range worth the percentages to be able to get the optimal total reps. And that's the thing. We all want to give our kids the best opportunity to be successful. So we want to give them everything that we can to be successful. Because how much work is enough? How much work is too much? How much work is too little? Where I am, I have to operate with the minimum effective dose. Because at the high school level, we have kids going, if I'm working with my baseball kids right now, okay? My baseball kid is going to his pitching coach. He's going to his hitting coach. He's going to his fall ball coach. And then, hey, he's got to lift weights. Okay? Well, he lifts weights with us in school. He probably comes after school when we do our speed school sessions. And so now we're talking that kid on a single day is going to have 5 different sessions where he is exerting himself. So, yes, the optimal rep range looks great and we love it. But I'll be honest with you, as a coach, especially of the high school kids, I really try and look more at the range of reps and just getting that minimal effective dose to be successful. As I've learned, again, my many travels and coaching at the high school level now for a while, I've seen that a lot of times where coaches get focused on the one thing and they don't necessarily think what's best for the kids. You know, when I deal with my kids during the summer, I got kids playing summer ball, summer baseball. They got our training sessions. If they play baseball, basketball, football, then they're going to shoot with basketball. And now you're looking at, 3 or 4 different sessions that are 2 to 3 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours, and the kid's done. So you have to sometimes ideally shoot for the optimal range, but understand you're going to have to look at the situations that your kids are going through to be able to figure out the best rep range for you. Now, one thing you won't hear about this presentation, because this is a strength training presentation, are the Olympic lifts. And I'm going to tell you why, because I program those completely differently than I do our strength movements. And we do things a little bit differently at Strong Rock. We don't back squat, we front squat. We don't regular bench press. I'm a pause bench guy. And we can go into those if you want to get into those in the Q&A, that's fine. But the one we program our Olympic lifts completely different. Now we do Olympic lifts. We power clean. We'll do a variation of a snatch. We do a lot of different things with our kids in that respect. But what you won't see in this presentation today is how we program our Olympic lifts, because I wanted to stick really with what we do for our pushing, our pressing movements with our benching and our squatting. So there are many different ways to train. Okay, 5x5, 3-week mini cycle, 5-3. You can see all these over here, and they're all positive. They're all good. You're going to get good results from a lot of these programs. Everything works, and everything is the worst program in the world. You have to understand that. You have to figure out what fits best for your situation. I'll give you an example. At Strong Rock, if you walk into my weight room at one time, you will see one of 13 different possible workouts going on at once. The reason being is the level of assessment, the level of individuality that we put into our program, and honestly, the level of coach. If I was a younger coach, I wouldn't do what I do. But if I've coached 20-something years, I have the ability to do a lot of different things. So it's very important as a coach, you figure out what is best for your situation. So today, for our terms, if it's 101, this is the intro, this is the beginning stuff, this is linear periodization is really the way to go. Because honestly, it will work. You have to be fluid with it, but there are points in times where everybody utilizes linear periodization within their program. So this is what we're going to talk about in terms of what we're doing today. So our 8-week size training program. Again, you go back to those definitions that we utilize. This is very simple, very easy, very basic. Now, this is kind of a little bit opposite of what a true linear periodization model would look like from this aspect, because we're going to actually increase load and volume. And what I mean by volume would be the amount of reps that you do. So 8s, we're working, and then we're building up to 9s, then you're building up to 10s. Intensity, which is our percentage, you can see that also increases over time. The thing that we want to do, again, the focus of this program is size. So we want to get as many repetitions as possible. So you're going to see 2 weeks, we're going to do 8s, but we're going to increase that intensity up. We're going to take it up a notch that second week. You can see how that works on our bench press when we go 4 sets of 8 for the first week, and that's 70, and then 4 sets of 8 at 72.5. And what we're working to is those last 2 sets being at those reps. Because remember, if you look at Prilepin's chart, if you're getting 16 reps at 72, 70%, you're in that rep range that you want to be. So you're going to get that positive result. And so you're looking at this is that we put together just an 8-week program. That way everybody, because a lot of times people think about off-season terms. I can't think of those because I have too many multi-sport kids. But we look at those programs with an 8-week cycle, and you can see how we utilize this in our methods with our young men. And so it's one of those situations that you can see by the time we hit week 8, if you're hitting 8 reps at 75%, you're going to get some, you're going to feel that. There's no doubt there. You're going to see, you're going to elicit those strength gains and really help build size, which is what you're focused on. Strength. Now, this is what we're talking about with strength. We talked about that's that 5 to 8 rep range. You may dip a little bit lower. I tend to dip a little bit lower. That's just probably my powerlifting background. And so you're going to see 5 sets, but now we've got 3 work sets this time. Okay, in our previous cycle, you didn't have as much, but now we've got 3 more work sets. I also know I've got to warm up. I've got to get that system primed. That's where we're going with this. And so you can see how we're developing it now. This is truly linear, where we're starting off with 5 sets of 6, going 5 sets of 4, and then or 5 sets of 5, and then going to 5 sets of 4, and you can see that progression there. And so what you want to do is you want to build over time, because I talked about with my guys today, it's a process. And this is a process, and it's going to take time to get that work in. And so you can see this is with our program, we're starting up at 70%, and we're working all the way to 87.5. So that's kind of the basics in that respect. Power training. Now, this is something I think sometimes coaches get a little bit too cute with, and you got to be very careful with when you're talking about power, because now we're playing in that 90% plus range with kids, and you got to be careful because you can't stay there for very long. 2 to 3 weeks max there. Then you got to reload or deload, whatever term you like to use, those kids. And you can see we're actually lowering the our work sets for our power work. You see 5, 3, 4, 6 sets of 5, 6 sets of 4, 6 sets of 3, and it's 85, 87.5, and then 90%. We're only going for 2 sets there. And then you can see we're going 3, 2, 1, 92, 95, 97.5. And then again, that next week, you can see we're doing 4 work sets, but they're at a lot lower percentages to where the body can reload, because you can't pound the nail all the time. You've got to back off a little bit. It's just like any good old football coach knows. You can't run them into the ground on Thursday and expect for them to play on Friday. You got, I worked for a guy when I was at Charleston Southern. He used the term, get them to the gate all the time. Get them to the gate. And when you use this high level of training as far as intensities in the weight room, you've got to be careful that you don't burn them out. So it's very important to have some deload or reload weeks, whatever term you want to use. And that's what week 4 and week 8 serve in this program. So I told you the ultimate key to a successful training program. It doesn't matter if I'm talking with my buddy Jim Malone with the Pittsburgh Pirates, or I'm talking with John Sisk at Georgia State, or I'm talking with another high school coach. I guarantee you, I promise you, this is the key to success. You have to eat. If you are a coach and you are not stressing to your kids nutrition, you are fighting a losing battle. Now, I get it. There are certain rules and honestly laws a lot of times with what we can and can't say as coaches. First and foremost, I would say learn your state's laws and what you can and can't say. And then you got to find a friend. Find a nutritionist. Find somebody who understands nutrition to help you, educate you, just like Nate talked about earlier, he wanted to learn about strength training. So he started this. Well, guess what? I'm a coach and I want to know about nutrition. So, a lot of times who I talk to nutritionists. One great thing about social media is you can find a ton of stuff on Twitter, and you can, even if it's just regurgitating it to your kids, it's going to help. But if you're not putting in the calories, if you're, all the work that you do is a waste of time if you're not taking care of yourself, taking care of your body. I tell my student athletes all the time, and this is going to blow people's mind when I first say this. You do not get stronger from lifting weights. You don't do it. You get stronger from recovering from lifting weights. That's the only way you get stronger. You do not get stronger from just lifting. If you are not preaching and every single day something's not there about nutrition. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a registered dietitian and go on a 30-minute diatribe about micro and macro calories, okay? I'm not saying that. But you have to stress it to your kids, because what you make important is what the kids will make important to them. As a coach, you have to understand that you have that ability and that influence on your students. So understand, I repeat, you do not get stronger from lifting weights. You get stronger by recovering from lifting weights. And first and foremost, it starts with nutrition. So, hey, I want to say Nate told me about 20 minutes. Hopefully I was in that rep range. We talked about reps, so it makes perfect sense. So I really appreciate your time. I look forward to hearing from your feedback. You tell me, brother, where are we at?
That's perfect.
There we go.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's take a quick commercial break, and when we're back, I got notes and questions for Coach Jacobi.
I really want you guys to see this little clip from the online clinic, just a sample of all the incredible videos that we have there. We're proud of the quality, we're proud of the depth of the content, and we're proud of how much content we've got on this online clinic. So enjoy this little sample.
Why change? Why did we want to make this change? Eventually, as time went by, there were some things that I wanted to do, talking with our head coach, that I felt that would make us better if we had made at least some investigations into some change. So as we got together as a staff, there were several things that we decided we'd better look at first. Are these worth it? Why do we want to make the change? The first one was, my dad used to say, you can't make chicken soup without chicken. We had the right personnel coming. We had a group of linebackers coming as younger kids that we felt we would be much better getting them on the field. We're just graduating 2 all-state guys that are inside linebackers. Both of them played as sophomores in the 4-3. One was an outside backer. One played defensive tackle. He was a former linebacker, and we moved him back over the last couple of years. So we had the ability to do it. Why change? And we're not going to make the change if we don't have the ability. The second thing is a philosophy thing, and I know every defensive coordinator out there believes this. Speed kills. We wanted to get more speed on the field. We felt we were fast with putting as many linebackers on the field as we could, but we wanted to enhance that speed. We felt a 3-4 could do that for us. We wanted to look into that in the investigation. So we were putting people's hands on the ground to try and get that. Ultimately, when we say speed kills, we want to make offensive coordinators and quarterbacks in particular very nervous. I was at a clinic a couple of years ago, and one of you brilliant guys out there said, we don't have to beat each other from sideline to sideline. We have to beat the 16 and 17-year-olds on the field. We want to make those quarterbacks nervous.
All right, we're back. Coach Jacobi, what a great job, man. Honestly, pretty much an arrow straight through the heart of all that I had been missing. I'm telling you, it's like, so it's just interesting. I can't think of a good analogy right now, but here I was trying, and now again, this is week 4 of it, and I've listened to 3 other strength coaches, and I'm getting a ton of great information, right? It's almost like these great tools of a house, but I didn't had no foundation yet, right? So that's not everything in strength training 101. I get it, but that gives me a great idea. I'm just going to jump in with some of my first questions. So you talked about these 4, I don't know, were they phases or 4 different kinds? Endurance, hypertrophy, strength, and power. So I guess my question is, are these 4 different ways to train, or are these 4 phases that everyone who's training needs to go through?
Great question, because that's a yes and a no answer. A lot of times there's a method called block periodization, where you actually go through pretty much every single one of those phases roughly for, I think, about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on the intensities of it, and then you deload. But a lot of times it's your goal. What is your goal with your athletes? With a lot of our kids, a great example, I'll use our program for an example. In our blue level of programming, muscular hypertrophy is the focus. So we're not training heavy singles. We're not training heavy doubles. We're not training heavy triples. We're working higher reps, because those are my kids that are young. They need they need muscle size. They need development. Now, with my other kids, some of my more advanced kids, my stronger kids, my kids who are more functionally sound, now we're going to do a lot more power work. My kids who are kind of in the middle of the road, they'll a lot of times do more strength work. And so that's kind of how we set it up. So it's really, yes, it is something that you have to go through in each phase. But I think, too, it's more important what your goals are for your kids. Where are they at? You know, that's one thing we really strive and stress to our kids is we want to meet you where you are physically. I hear coaches all the time, you got to meet your kids where they're at when they're talking about communication and they're talking about connecting with them. But how are you doing that physically? I worked for a coach. You know, we had this great quarterback. He was a great athlete, and he can't throw the slant. Well, guess what, coach? Don't throw the slant because he can't do it. It's okay. The kid can run, so let's do that. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's really what we try and do is really meet our kids where they are. And so that's how we accomplish that. So we actually use all of those methods in our program in some way, shape, or form.
Okay. So when I hear, this is a phrase I've heard so much and had never really known. So now I know, or I'm learning. When I hear I hear a guy say, we're in the hypertrophy phase. They're saying we're in a phase of some higher reps because that is building mass.
Yes. And a lot of times in the true linear periodization model, you start off with high reps, low weight, and you work down to high weight, low reps. In a true linear periodization model where you're going to work through your hypertrophy, your strength, your power. Yes, that would be, you're right on. They're just getting muscle size. It's great for foundational lifts in the respect of kids who don't have a lot of experience. Or when I was playing in college, we always did those first 3 weeks of 10s. And then the second week you did 8s. And then the third week, that next cycle you did 6s. And then, and so it's just slowly, because honestly, a lot of times people really don't know this, but periodization comes from 2 places: Olympic weightlifting, which most people know that, and then track and field. And a lot of times football coaches don't want to admit that. And so what we're talking about periodization wise is you're planning for a peak. And so, the old 1 rep max, we're going to take a 10-week off season and lift weights, and we're going to peak so we can have the best 1 rep max. Now, I'm a 1 rep max guy personally, and I do it with our athletes, but I don't live and die by that 1 rep max.
So just in the situation that I'm in Illinois, and I'm not a head coach currently, but I was a head coach for 10 years previous to the last 2. My year keeps, and I was at a couple schools, and my year was pretty similar. Throughout the year, most of my team, they're doing different sports, and some of them are playing 1 sport, some are playing 3, and some are playing 2, right? And it's they're all over the place. So I don't know where they've been. But then I get them in June. And from June to the end of July, I get them, and I've got about 8 weeks. And again, they're all coming in at different spots. If it's you, what type of sets, reps, or in which of those phases knowing, and I guess I'll add this in too, might as well add in a little piece more personal touch. At the end of that summer is our largest fundraiser, which is our Lift-a-thon. It's a huge celebration, and we only clean, and we clean in the middle of the football field with the lights on, and the crowd is there, and we celebrate it. And so we're working towards that, right? The kids are at the point where they want to perform at that because they know it's coming. They just know it's coming. They want to perform at that. So that's at the end of the 8 weeks. Like, could you give me what should I be looking at doing over that 8 weeks? Sets wise, reps wise.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. A lot of it is very similar to what we did with our power program. And that's where I would say you want to really go. And basically, when you're designing a strength and conditioning program, it should always be reverse engineered. So you say, okay, you have your lift-a-thon, and trust me, I've been part of those as well. I get it. So I'm going to start from that date, and that's when I have to be 100%. Mm-hmm. And then I'm working back to 8 weeks, 7 weeks, 6, 5, 12, whatever it is.
Yep.
And then I'm saying, okay, by that point in time, week 8, I have to peak. So I'm looking back, my week 7, I should be hitting singles at 97 to 95%. That's what I should be hitting. Week 6, probably hit a double at 92.5, 95% maybe. Week 5, let's see, I'm trying to make this. I got to count backwards. Week 5, now you're probably hitting that 90% 80% range. Week 4, you're playing with that, reps in 3 reps is still probably a good one, especially if we're talking about the power clean. I'm looking at probably 85%, 80%. I would usually, for me personally, I would always start right around 65% with the power clean, because a lot of times anything lower, it's really not going to elicit that true speed response that you want from a technical aspect. And so that's where I would really probably start that 65 and work incrementally down to, I know week 8, we've got the lift-a-thon. That's my 100%. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Okay. So in there, you also said that you like the pause bench. So I was wondering if you could explain the pause bench. And then you also said we front squat rather than back squat. So I was kind of just curious to hear the why behind that as well.
Well, both of them are, now again, you have to think, I competed in powerlifting. I love lifting heavy weights. I was pretty successful at it. I also saw a lot, again, 20 plus years, you see a lot of bad things happen in a weight room.
Sure.
And you're talking thousands upon thousands of kids that I've coached. And so just looking at everything that I've seen, looking at everything I saw when I came to Strong Rock, I really felt there were a couple areas that I think we could do better. Our program, first and foremost, from a philosophy standpoint, is do no harm. It doesn't matter what you bench, squat, or clean, how fast you run a 40, or what you jump. If you're broken and injured, you're not playing on Friday night. We all know that. So I honestly assessed our injuries, and I assessed injuries I had seen leaving the collegiate level, and I said, is there a better way to do something? Because just because you've done something one way your entire time doesn't mean it's always right. A lot of times with strength coaches or in the weight room, we do either what we like or what we did in college. Okay. Well, I looked at it from a pause bench standpoint. I had a couple shoulder problems with my kids, and I was trying to figure out a way to better train them. And so, again, leaning back to my powerlifting background, I was like, wait a second. If we pause, my shoulders don't hurt. And so I started playing with that idea, and I started having a couple of my kids, tried it on them every once in a while. Did their bench numbers go down? Yeah, it's okay. Because guess what? You're not going to put a bench press, they're not going to turn the scoreboard on and put a bench on the 50-yard line. And that's reality.
So they go down and they just hold it?
They come down to the chest, pause on the chest for 2 seconds, then from a dead stop, press up.
Okay.
So there's no rebound, there's no bounce. A couple things that it's done. It's helped our shoulder issues immensely, immensely. It's also helped our bench technique, because a lot of times when you get that bounce, those hips are going to fly up, and you're literally almost doing an incline press off of it, and that's a dangerous movement when you get into that position. So allowing us to get a true press, just like in powerlifting, where they come down and I give them a press call when we test, they have to do that. Now, like I said, I've got a head coach who gives me the autonomy to run my facility and my program the way I need to, and he believes in me and trusts in me. And, I guarantee you not every head football coach would like to say, their strength coach to walk in and say, hey, coach, I got the greatest way to make our bench numbers go down.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you they'll be on the football field longer.
Right.
They'll be healthier and they'll be safer. You have to look at it. So that's the reasoning behind the pause bench. The front squat, I'm one of a few people in this world that have squatted over 850 pounds drug-free.
Whew.
And I love back squatting. It's, I love it. However, when I was leaving the collegiate level, I saw a lot of kids with lower lumbar issues. And when I mean lower lumbar issues, I'm talking surgical situations. And so my mindset when I came to Strong Rock was I'm going to coach it up. I'm a great coach. I'm a great squatter. I can do this. We're going to be great squatters. No problem. I'm going to fix this. And I got to Strong Rock, and for that first year, I had a couple kids that complained of some back issues. I'm like, I progressed them. I did everything right. I know I did. We're going to keep doing it. That second year, we did it. And I was like, okay, there's got to be a different way. And so I started searching. And I said, what is more important? Is it more important for me to stroke my ego and say, I've got 500-pound squatters, woohoo? Or is it more important for my kids to have the best chance to be successful? So I started searching. I started looking. I started talking to people. Like you were talking about, you wanted to get better at strength and conditioning. I had to get better. And so a good friend of mine, Gary Schofield, who was at Greater Atlantic Christian for a long time, very successful high school strength conditioning coach, he had this unique idea that they only front squatted. I was like, okay. I just don't know. I can't do it. I can't make myself do it. And so we were testing, and we were still back squatting. And I said, we had some time, the way the school year worked out. I said, let's get some heavy front squats in, guys. So we just maxed out on the front squat. And I was like, okay, the numbers aren't horrible. I said, so for a summer, I said, we're going to do it. So we're going to front squat. And I'm really lucky, again, I coach a lot of middle school classes, so I have my kids from the 7th grade on. So we can get that good rack position, no problem, for many, many, many of our kids. And so we started doing it, and I'm doing our verts, I'm doing our broads, I'm doing our cleans, I'm doing our 40s, our shuttles, all the performance assessments I can do. I'm like, wait a second. We're still getting better. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, is this, there might be something to this. And then I'm talking with a colleague of mine, and I said, what's more impressive? A 500-pound back squat for a high school kid, a 500-pound back squat, which is good, really good, or a 400-pound front squat? I was like, dadgum. 400-pound front squat, that's a monster. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking about it, and we had a kid at the time. He's playing linebacker at Georgia Tech now. He could do that. And I was like, golly. I'm starting to think, and then I could start getting these little kids, these 150-pound kids front squatting 350. Like, dang. And then I started thinking about my coaching career, my playing career, and I'm like, and then I started, honestly, I had to have a true self-assessment here. I'm a great back squatter. But on my best day, I was an average football player at the college level. And the front squat's a more athletic movement. there's a high carryover to our Olympic lifts and our power cleans. I'm really not seeing a negative here.
Right.
And so once I kind of made that whole journey, I was like, we're going front squat, and we're going front squat well. And it's amazing that we made that transition a couple of years ago, and it's been nothing but positives. I will say this, me personally, it's all anecdotal. I don't have scientific evidence, but I know what I've seen. I do question the adolescent spine in loading up a heavy back squat. That's just me personally.
Sure.
I hope there never is evidence of that, because that means we would have had to have crushed some 16, 15-year-old spine.
Right.
But I've seen enough personally when I was leaving the college level, and a lot of our incoming freshmen and some of my kids here, that I know what we're doing is the right thing for the kids that we have.
Well, last question, Coach, and it was, I loved your slide when the nutrition popped up. So when the kids are leaving, what more could I be saying besides make sure you're eating? So, like, what is that? I mean, if I'm not giving them a lecture every night, is there a short list of things, specific things I should be pushing them towards or saying?
Well, again, like I said, a lot of times in every state's different what we can say nutritionally. A lot of people don't know that. You have to be careful with that.
Yeah, sure.
But once you know those rules and those laws, honestly, every time I start with kids, I put it on them. Okay. I learned from a guy, Thylan Smith, great linebackers coach for us when I was at Charleston Southern. Good old Cajun dude from Louisiana, coached at every school in Louisiana, great guy. And Thylan always talked in questions. And so I know where he got it from. He got it from the Bible, and Jesus did that all the time. And so when it comes to nutrition, I always make it an intentional point to talk in questions to my kids. What'd you eat tonight? What'd you eat for dinner? What'd you eat for breakfast? We always start there with breakfast. Question, raise your hand. Who had breakfast? Okay, and you get, what did you eat? What did you eat? What did you eat? That's a good choice. 7 Dunkin' Donuts, not a good choice. But the reason I do that is because it gets them to start thinking. And then I can help guide them in what to make good choices. Because the bottom line is, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked for, hey, will you give me this diet program? And that's all well and good. And it's well-intentioned. I know it is. But the reality of it is everybody's situation is different. Everybody has different food in their cupboards. Some have no food. Some have too much food. And so what I try and do when it comes to nutrition is I say, okay, what are you doing? Okay, if you're not making if you got a little snack, just bring a snack to school. I had a mother, we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter accounts, and all our kids follow them and things like that. And a lot of our parents are involved with it. So I put out nutritional information on that. I had a mom send me a message one day and say, Coach, thank you for putting out that granola bar thing last year. My son's been eating them every day since you put that out, and he's gained 15 pounds. Well, I had no idea what she was talking about because it was a long time ago. But you never know what that kind of stuff is going to make that impact. But anytime I talk nutrition, I intentionally put it as a question because everybody's situation is different. And so what I try to do is really gear it and tailor it to what the kid's situation is. Now, am I going to tell them to go eat McDonald's every day? No. But I also know at Strong Rock, we've got some families that own restaurants. So I know, hey, I know what you have because I know what it says on the sign when I go and order. So why don't you make this choice? Why don't you make this choice?
Yeah.
And so that's really what I try and do when it comes to nutrition. I really try and get the kids to communicate and connect with me on that so I can help guide them in the direction that they need to be going.
Man. All right, Coach. That was your time on the Power Hour, and I couldn't be more grateful, man. I feel like I learned a ton from you. Good luck to you guys at Strong Rock. Have you played a game yet?
We play September 4th, baby.
Wow. In fact, this episode will probably air just after that. So when guys are watching this, they'll be backwards 4 days.
We'll be 1-0, 1-0.
There you go. There you go. Well, good. Well, good luck to you, and reach out at any time. And you want to tell everybody your Twitter handle one more time?
My Twitter, I have two actually. I have my personal Twitter handle. That's at Tobias Jacobi 1. And then our Strong Rock handle is at SRCS_strength.
All right. You guys look him up. We look forward to seeing you guys here back next Monday on another Power Hour.